Hello everybody and welcome back to another Football Manager simulation. If you haven't checked out my Mikel Arteta simulation, I would highly recommend it. The link will be in the video description below. Make sure to check that out. But at the moment, guys, we're going to be seeing what England would do if they were in the Premier League. So something I've always wondered, and I've taken the whole squad from England, although there are a few notable exceptions such as Jordan Henderson. The reason being is I wanted to focus on younger players. I really did want to see maybe in 4 to 5 years how England would do in the Premier League, because obviously it will take some time for them to settle. I've even changed the manager, so I've changed it to Gareth Southgate, and I've changed the capacity to 90,000. That's the capacity for Wembley. I've also changed the stadium name to Wembley as well. And if we just have a quick look at the players I was there. So we've got the three goalies. Obviously Jordan Pickford's going to be number 1, Nick Pope probably number 2, and Jack Butland in reserve. So really good depth to the squad, of course. The centre-backs, as you can see, Joe Gomez, Lewis Dunk, John Stones, Harry Maguire. I know Lewis Dunk isn't really an England player, although in my mind I think he should be. I think he'll add a lot to this team, so that's why I picked him. We've got a host of right backs. We've got Kyle Walker, Wan-Bissaka and Trent Alexander-Arnold, and we've got 2 left backs in Danny Rose and Ben Chilwell, and only 2 CDMs, so that's going to be an area that they may struggle, but that's honestly, England don't have many CDMs, so they've got Eric Dyer and of course Declan Rice, who's going to be probably the most important player in the next 4 to 5 years in the midfield. Next up, England has an absolutely amazing array of wingers. So I managed to narrow it down to Sterling, of course, Mason Mount, who can play more central but also can play on the wing. You do have Sancho as well, who in the next 4 to 5 years, as I said, should be an absolute force. And then you've got Marcus Rashford, who can play up front or on the wing. Harry Kane, of course, will be number 1 for the striker role. I don't think Jamie Vardy's going to get many games, but I put him in there just in case Harry Kane gets injured. Obviously without him, this England team won't really stand a chance. There's going to be a lot of focus on him and how well he does. Him and Sterling really are our only real key players, like important players. Without that, it sort of lacks a lot of real quality in this team. So if they're going to have a hope of winning the Premier League, it's going to come down to Sterling and Kane, hopefully on fire, but we shall see. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to do a simulation. Next time you hear my voice, we will know how England would do in the Premier League. So we are back after 1 year with England in the Premier League, and for Tottenham Hotspur, they finished 4th. So nothing too out the ordinary, if I'm honest. That's where I would have put them. That's exactly where I would have guessed they would have finished. I would have been surprised if they finished outside the top 6. I would have been surprised if they won the league. So it will be interesting to see in the future seasons if I do more. Let me know in the comment section below if you want to see year 2, year 3, year 4, and we can see if this England team maybe gels together and maybe can get some maybe a bit more competition in terms of Man City and Liverpool and Man United there at the top. But let's just have a look to see how their players did. So I'm going to sort by goals, and of course no surprises, no prizes either for guessing who's their top goal scorer. It's Harry Kane, of course, 27 goals. Now that's pretty awesome, and 21 goals as well from Raheem Sterling and 19 assists. So he was involved in 40 goals this season, and Harry Kane 39, sorry, my maths is off, but that is brilliant. 50 games each, over 50 games each. Obviously they were instrumental in ensuring that England got Champions League football next season. But overall, guys, the team has been well used. The average rating's a little bit below what I would expect, especially higher up here, like James Maddison, Marcus Rashford. I know Marcus Rashford seems to have only played 13 games, but I would like to have seen him above 7. Same with James Maddison, no excuses for him. And even, Mason Mount as well. So a little bit disappointed in the average ratings, but the goals and assists and the sort of the happiness as well around this squad is pretty good. I'm just going to have a look at the bottom of the play table because this was interesting. So Danny Rose hasn't been played at all, not even a substitute appearance for him. Jamie Vardy I did only put in in case Harry Kane got injured, because I was very aware that he wasn't going to be picked above Harry Kane and he wasn't going to be picked above Callum Wilson. So I knew that putting him in there was probably a bit of a waste of time, but I was just worried that if Harry Kane got injured, it would ruin the whole thing and England would end up being a mid-table team. So that's why he was there, and obviously he'll probably retire soon. I think he's 33, so he hasn't got long left. Jack Grealish is actually a surprise. One game and one substitute appearance, so that is a real shock. I thought he'd be used much more. I think he obviously has been playing second fiddle to James Maddison and even probably behind the likes of maybe even Mason Mount. So that's a shame, because obviously he's a hot talent and definitely someone that could have had an impact on this England team. So it's a shame he didn't get used at all, but it just shows you the depth of this squad. They've got, look, Jamie Vardy, Danny Rose, Jack Grealish, Lewis Dunk, and even Kyle Walker on one game, and Callum Wilson one start. These are players that would make it into most other teams' first 11. The only thing I can think of is that maybe the squad didn't quite gel, and maybe they didn't quite get that sort of rhythm going. The tactics here are 4-1-4-1, which makes sense, of course, because they only really have one CDM. I'm just going to have a quick look, see who played more. Was it Dyer or was it Rice? So Dyer's there on 29 games, so I think Rice is below him. Yeah, so they shared it quite evenly. 20 games to 29 games, and the average rating's nothing too different. And obviously Declan Rice is getting... So Eric Dyer's at his prime now, his peak at 26, and Declan Rice is still only 21. So he's got maybe 4 or 5 years to catch up to Eric Dyer. So that's going to be interesting to see if we do go into the future a bit more. So I'm just going to have a look to see how they did in cup competitions. So I can see straight away that they went out on penalties to Man City in the final. And even they scored in the 90th minute with Zinchenko. So that is a real shame. And England could have won the FA Cup. That would have been something to celebrate. And it looks like they went out in the quarter-final to Atletico Madrid. No big problems there. Quarter-final to Atletico Madrid. Not a big issue. I think they even beat Real Madrid. Yep, they beat Real Madrid over 2 legs. Very well done. So we know how they did in the Champions League and the FA Cup. I'm just going to have a look at the Carabao Cup. I think I've seen it there. Yeah, 4th round to Arsenal of all teams. 3-2. Even Harry Kane and James Maddison couldn't save the day. And yeah, unfortunately they went out to Arsenal of all teams. But overall, guys, I think they had a pretty decent season. As I said, if I was asked to predict it, I would have said 4th. I'm sure most of you would have said 4th. But let me know in the comment section below if you guys want to see the next few years and see how this team develops. So other than that, thank you for watching the video, and hopefully I see you next time.